Welcome to Stay Curious, where we talk about the latest in QR code trends. I'm Crystal, and we're here right now with QR code expert Benjamin Kleiss. In this episode, it's all about how to use QR codes for enterprise. This means big corporations and even marketing and ad agencies that are juggling generating QR codes all at the same time for many businesses. So the question now is, how can they make full use of QR code marketing even when they're juggling multiple campaigns, Ben? That's where we're getting started.
So, enterprise customers have versatile needs. That's the first thing to understand. They are big corporations, they could be ad agencies, they could be hospitals, they could be universities. They're very versatile in their needs. So the most important thing is, and that's also what I think QR Tiger offers, is a whole palette of different features which can actually fulfill those needs. And that, I think, is what we try to give to our enterprise customers by really listening and having the experience to understand what customers need, trying to give them a palette of tools where they can do different things in and really bring their marketing or whatever they need in their enterprise to the next level. It also comes, of course, with advanced data, because an enterprise company needs a little bit more data, needs to understand the little details, how they actually can make their advertising or whatever they do in a more precise way, right? So also some features. It also comes with collaboration tools like Teams, where you can set up teams with different roles. This, I think, is what makes enterprise unique to comparing to different plans, is that it actually is a collaboration tool in a bigger corporation, right? Or in any kind of entity that needs different people of different departments or even different brands, right, to work together.
Yeah, and as we all know, what we always highlight is the best thing to use QR codes was yesterday, and the next best time to use it is now. But from product labels to process automation, QR codes have really done it all. We've seen it all. And not only can QR codes be used for marketing, products, and services, they can also be used for cutting other complex processes in half. So what do you think is, how is it done, Ben? For example, for ad agencies and marketing as well? In general,
many agencies need to work for different brands. That can be that also bigger brands want to have their own domain name when people scan. They might need to use professional software like Salesforce or HubSpot or other kind of marketing tools, or even Google Analytics, where they want to see their data in. They need to be able to extract the data. Such kind of needs are typical needs from bigger corporations. And I think this is actually where QR Tiger try to fulfill those needs by actually giving different palettes and ways to, fulfill things that an enterprise typically need. We also, of course, learn still a lot. There's still many enterprises that come to us with questions with things that in our software that we still cannot provide. But by learning, I always say, learn from your customers as much as you can, implement it as quick as you can, and make sure that you keep leading. And that's, I think, what QR Tiger is good in. We keep listening carefully to our customers and keep leading within the space, right? That, I think, is also why our enterprise is now on a level where I'm proud of, something that I can say, hey, this is a good enterprise software that's intuitive, easy to use, and easy to collaborate in.
yes, because we started actually with small to medium enterprise, and then we listened to more customers needing more than just all these smaller features, And so the enterprise product feature is really great for ad agencies and big corporations, and how they can integrate and maximize its full use when they're handling different accounts and different corporations all at the same time and running these QR code ads.
Right.
So let's dive in, Ben, and let's go to all these questions now and start the discussion. And we're used to seeing QR codes being used by big brands for marketing, but not a lot about its ability to automate other processes. To give our listeners out there an idea, can you give us one short example of a QR code being used for automated processes?
Right. So in automation, that can be, for example, that a QR code needs to be generated for a medical record or something like that in a hospital. And then, for example, send information to our API. That API sends a QR code back that links to that medical record, for example. That's the way that QR codes are used in automation. This can also be done by Zapier. With Zapier, they can actually connect to different software. Zapier is actually just a bridge software that helps you to connect to any software that you use. Could be that, for example, a customer signs up, then there needs to be an email sent. In that email needs to be a QR code as well, because they want people to sign up within an application or something like that. So all these kind of things can be done automated with QR Tagger by using software as Zapier or our own API, right? Of course, our API is straightforward. We have a lot of big corporations using our API right now to make thousands of QR codes every month, right? So it's actually on a big scale. And of course, that software needs to work continuously, right? It's also important for an enterprise that it's not just a QR code to generate, but also be able to scan that QR code and make sure that it works 24 hours, 7 on 7, which I think is also important to understand.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to mention how we were able to help Gary Vee and the VFriends NFT to create bulk QR codes. Can you discuss more about that?
So for Gary Vee, that was on bulk QR codes. That was a case where they needed a multi-rel QR code. They did an event, and the problem was that the event was spreading. The QR code was spreading. Actually, the link of the event would quickly spread on social media. So what needed to happen is when people scan, after it needed to expire, right? So it could not spread. And so we helped them. On one day, we made a script, created, I think they needed 2,400 in total of different QR codes. So when every time was a new QR code being showed, that expired again and expired again. So this way they did a localized event, which was actually only needed for those people who were in the event. And with our solution, they were able to do it. So that was an interesting case to show a QR code that can expire. So that's also something I think that many brands need. It's not just a QR code that keeps working, but also needs to expire in a certain moment, right? And this was a multi-rel QR code, so the first time they scanned, it worked. The second time they scanned, it would bring to a page that said this QR code was expired.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good actual use case that we've done already with bulk QR codes. So I'm glad that you were able to discuss that with other corporations or ad agencies that actually have that need for their company or whatever campaigns that they're running right now.
Right.
So we were actually able to finish those thousands of QR codes in just one day, right? For VFriends and for Gary Vee.
Yeah, sure, with our bulk feature, and now the new bulk feature that comes out, you can make 10,000 QR codes in one go, right? And I think that's also important. Bulk QR codes is also, we have brands that needed not those QR codes in bulk just to be generated, but also be able to straight away on a page that they can print it out, right? So because that's also a thing, sure, you create 10,000 QR codes, but how are we gonna now print them out, right? So we have in our new software for bulk that you're able to put them straight on a page and that they will come out like nice on sheets, so you can straight away with cutting lines, if you want to make stickers from it, for example, and print them out. So this is, I think, all these kind of new features that are coming and almost help brands, to bring QR codes to the next level, also in the process of how to execute within their company, right? I think that's also, how can we make that process more efficient? That's what we think about at QR Tagger.
Yes, exactly. And for companies that want to learn more about bulk QR codes, we're leaving the ultimate guide down below for bulk QR codes, so you can just go to the description and read more about it. And all right, for the next question, when deciding to use QR codes for these big companies and ad agencies, what will they actually need? First things first.
So most brands need just a URL for their website, a QR code that is a URL, but it can also be that they need a QR code that leads to a file or something more. So many brands have different needs, but most brands, we can say, need a QR code that redirects to any of their landing pages, right? Or their website or their sign-up pages. So that's what they all need, kind of things. But there's, of course, like I say, every brand, when they start to use our software, we offer all those features. And then they start to explore. They start to realize, hey, I can do just much more with a QR code than just making it to go to my website. I can lead it to a PDF or a video, or I can make a social media QR code with different social media handles, because some people might follow Facebook, others not. They see that there is advanced data, that can really see a heat map where people are scanning. So all these kind of things are actually features, and that's also what we explain when we bring it to our enterprise customers. What can all these features do for your company? How can you maximize our software in the best way for your company?
Yeah, and I'm also seeing it with big corporations to streamline their processes. It's not just on the front end as well, but also with the workers behind these, with the creatives. When collaborating, they can totally use a QR code for sharing files and for updates on what is already happening in this process, like the graphics, the video team, the copywriters. They can use QR codes to streamline and update everyone with their current projects. And now when choosing a QR code generator, as we all know, there are, of course, a lot of QR code generators in the market. So for big companies like this, what should they look out for?
So the first thing that they need to look out for is, of course, an easy to use QR code generator that is intuitive, not one that you need to break your head on. I personally dislike softwares where you need to, start to break your head on how does that function. No, I think the software should be intuitive. The next important thing, and that's definitely for enterprise users, they care a lot about security, right? They also do the diligence on security. So we have been registered with an ISO 27001 certificate. We have security processes in our company who access servers, how things get done. That's important. ISO 27001 is similar to a SOC 2, right? It has a little bit a higher standard. So in this way, we are able to also comply companies on the security level of on the needs of their security within their teams, right? Because these are things that companies find important. Also, enterprise customers look sometimes for a bit tailored terms, right? Because they have different needs, and they have also, their own legal teams, so they need to look through that as well. So that's also something that we offer, and to check with the companies, how can we actually make sure that it fulfills their needs again. What is important, I think, also for an enterprise software is, of course, the amount of features that you get. Like we have a multi-role QR code feature. We have a H5 or landing page QR code feature. An H5 or landing page QR code feature is a page where you can put all images, text together. Think about it like a word editor. We're the only QR code generator in the world that has that feature right now. We have customers coming to us especially for that, which you can make as a template. We have Zapier integration, we have integrations with Canva, HubSpot, and Google Analytics, many more integrations we're doing at the moment, because we understand that customers have different needs and need different integrations. We're gonna soon do an integration with Salesforce. We had a lot of customers asking for that as well. Our bulk feature, of course, is a powerful one. So it's all those different features that customers especially come for, and we try to offer a palette of features that they can actually solve all those problems in one go, like a one-step solution, one solution that offers everything.
Yeah, that's a good one to highlight as well. And on our last episode, we were talking about QR codes and TV ads and how QR codes have been a game changer because it really brought sales to the commercials like real time. Right. And so now, what is the most ideal thing to do when using QR codes for large scale campaigns like the Super Bowl, like the World Cup? What do companies need to do?
Well, first off, they need to set up their campaign. Of course, they need to understand what is their goal, right? They need to think if maybe to do an omni-channel approach, because QR codes can be used offline, but also digital, right? So if I've seen many big companies really have that omni-channel approach, and that's, I think, half of the success of the story, if not more. It's really thinking it through and understanding how can we bring it to that next level by QR codes. We are offering doors in our digital space. We are offering doors in our offline space because people can scan a poster. Like I say, I always compare a QR code with a door, and what's going to happen next. And that, I think, is what many bigger ad companies are doing right now. Really roadmap the whole journey of people that are interested in that product. How can we get a maximized effect? How can we engage them? How can we gamify it, right? So this, I think, are really important things to understand, and I'm sure this is also the trend that will keep coming for all the big successful campaigns that use QR.
Yeah, and it should be stated that, again, with using QR codes for offline ads, it also closes the sales right away for customers, because then they can already, it's not just informative, it's not just limited to information. Right. When you're posting all these offline ads on train stations, on the retail stores, now you're able to sell them as well when you can get them to take out their phones and scan your QR code and lead them to your landing page. Right. Where you can sell them your product and services. So that one will definitely bring more of your ROI when you incorporate QR codes in your campaign.
That's exactly true, yeah.
All right, and for now, earlier I mentioned maximizing the use of QR codes. What exactly does this mean for large-scale companies?
So maximize is not just using one feature, I think using different features, right? Really understanding, again, what is your need. Maybe if you do something in a country with different languages, using a multi-role QR code, it's actually taking road mapping the whole journey of a customer or what actually and the goals that you have and how this can be achieved, right? I think that's maximizing a campaign to the next level by really thinking it through and not saying, okay, we're just going to put a QR code, but really also checking if there's a call for action on your QR code. It's really looking at all the elements and of course talking to us. We are the experts in the field. We've seen so many campaigns passing by. With so many big companies came to us already. If you talk to any of us, we have also that information online. We make videos of it, we make podcasts of it. We try to let people understand what are the next innovative things to do with QR codes. How can you get something to the next level? And that I think is when you say maximizing QR codes use, is really bringing all those ingredients on the table and using them to make the best pie that you can have, right?
Right, and it's really partnering with a QR code generator that we're actually able to tailor to their needs.
Yes.
So we're able to cater to that. And now, what are the advantages of having multi-featured QR codes? Since you mentioned already the multi-URL QR codes, compared to just generating a QR code and then calling it a day. It's different.
So the multi-URL QR code feature is actually pretty advanced. It's where we have a parameter and instantly we redirect to something that that parameter is. For example, if that person is in New York or in San Francisco, they will go to a different page, for example, or that's a QR code based on location, right? Or there is this kind of multi-URL QR code depending on the amount of scans. So if 3 people scan, it will bring you to one page. If 10 people scan, it will bring you to another page. If 20 people scan, it will bring another page. And you can loop that so you can engage people. You can let them win with discounts. We also have QR codes based on time. So when you scan in the morning, you will get, for example, it's not a rush hour for a store, so they will get 30% discount. But when they scan in the rush hour, they only get 5% discount. So based on traffic with this time QR code, multi-URL QR code on time, you can actually do different things. We also have on language, like many people speak different languages. You go to a different country, but you don't speak that language. You scan, you still come, because we detect the language of your phone. We instantly let you read a page in your own language. So way better experience. It's about tailoring it to the customer. And that's, I think, what QR codes can do. QR codes are not just QR codes. It's also the link management that goes behind it. And that's, I think, what QR Target does on a different level. And that this multi-URL feature really has, so many different ways that it can be used to benefit the end user, right? And that, I think, is what is the success of multi-URL today.
Yes, and as we mentioned before in our previous episode, seasoned marketers already know that the best way to really get into their customers' hearts is for them to personalize their ads, their products and services to fit the needs of their customers. And adding that multi-URL feature where you really connect to them with their own language when they scan the code, it just says a lot about your company and how you care to add that tiny little detail to connect to your customers better. And so if you want to learn more about multi-URL QR codes, we leave the ultimate guide in the description down below, so you can just read it at your own time. And right now that we know all these features and tools that you mentioned, Ben, let's explore some cases in which we can use them in order to reach a client or a brand's goals.
Right.
So we prepared some of these campaigns that need QR codes, and we're going to consult Ben here, our QR code expert, on how to make it possible. So I'm going to read situation 1 right now, because we're already talking about large-scale corporations. So this manufacturer wants to make their machine troubleshooting process better since their service technicians cannot accommodate several cases at once. So waiting for service technicians to repair simple machine problems can take weeks, which causes a delay in sales for the site owners. They're looking for a solution where they can guide the site owners in troubleshooting problems quickly to avoid delays. The question is it possible for QR codes to automate this process?
To 100% automate, not, but what it can help with, for example, with the social media QR codes or a QR code that has different, where you can add different buttons. You can, for example, you have a device, people scan it, and you can, for example, say, I'm a technician, or for example, I am an employee of the store. And when they click that button, they will go to a different portal where they can have different help. So in this way, this helps people much quicker to understand where they need to go. And that, I think, is, we also had a case with a big pharmaceutical company. You scan, I'm a health provider, I'm not a health provider, right? So this helps them with a social media QR code. You can make this kind of clickable page where you bring them to the right information instantly. And that, I think, is one of those really simple cases, but makes the life again of people more helpful. We could also even bring it to the level that we know actually who is that person that scans. That's a different thing that we brought in for another enterprise customer, and that we can actually redirect them to the right information instantly. That's also possible, right? We can bring, by understanding one parameter, a user to the right page. And that, I think, is, helping customers or people that need to work on the device understand quicker where to go, right?
Because right now it's totally easy to track the data behind the scans of the QR code.
Right.
And can you talk more about parts ordering as well, Ben?
So, for example, the machine is broken, they scan it, it can be also connected straight to a delivery company. When people click on it, it can be delivered to the right place and the new piece can come as well. So this can all be done with this, what we call a social media QR code, but it's actually, I call it a landing page QR code, where you can actually click and have different call to action for different people, right? This can all be done within that same thing, all from one QR code.
Yeah, and we also have, of course, the option for companies to add their logo on it. And the way I see it, you've already discussed the front end. How about for the processes behind these manufacturing companies? So for the seamless operations, they can actually add a QR code with the logo. So the people, the management, would know that this is from this department, and they add scan the QR code, and they would be updated with what's happening from the last department, and they could already have a seamless approach to their process.
And they also would know which technician would have. They can also, that when the technician scans, he can give his ID, so actually they know which technician is looking at which device, and it can be distributed anywhere, but they have all the tracking data, like you say, so they can actually understand the whole thing. If something goes wrong, where did it go wrong, by who was working on the device, and why was it not delivered? Yeah. So this kind of thing, they can map this right now. And that, I think, is QR codes helps you to map all these kind of things, definitely if you have many devices out there, right?
Yeah, and we will also be adding the link to the guide on how to track your data for QR codes down in the description below. So just take a look at it. And for situation number 2, Ben, let's move on. A brewery wants to launch an omni-channel campaign for a big sports event. They want to use QR codes to publicize their sweepstakes promo for the event. The question is, what's the process in implementing a large campaign like this?
So implementing a large campaign, of course, comes with, first of all, setting up a plan. What do you want to achieve, right? How do you want to maximize the amount of people engaging with your sweepstakes, right? So that's a thing you need to do. And then, of course, how are you going to take that omnichannel approach by making posters? There are going to be television ads. What else you're going to do? And how you're going to make people connect and engage with it, right? And by mapping this all out, it will become very logical to understand where you need to use a QR code or where not, right? And this, I think, is a very simple way. Also, you can put targets, KPIs, like, okay, we want to achieve at least 10,000 people that played with our sweepstakes. We want to also make sure that people spread on social media. You can also build that in the whole campaign, so that it really is something that is not just only going online to offline, but also maybe from digital side, spreading on social media. And I think QR codes are different doors within the whole process. And that's, I think, how I would look at it. And also, of course, the most important thing is to make a QR code that links to that URL and that you understand if later on how many people have scanned it. If you want to add a Facebook tracking pixel, so you can know that if you want to retarget those customers on Facebook again with your campaign, that all can be done with our software.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier about data tracking with QR codes, can they also add something like for sweepstakes? Can they add for the 500th customer, then there will be a special price when they scan the code? Is it also possible for them?
That's possible. In this case, I need to use a multi-URL QR code. So after 500 scans, it will bring you to a page for that user that will have something extra. And then after the next 200 scans, it will continue with whatever. So yes, you can build that in. You can make it more engaging. And that, I think, is a multi-URL QR code with the amount of scans can really help in that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good addition, because it will get more people to scan if you have all these numbers, like the 500th customer or the 1,000th customer, they will get these special prices. It's added to the raffle as well.
Yeah.
All right, and let's go to situation 3. How can educational institutions or universities out here use QR codes for their different uses? For example, in different departments, in announcements, and not just that, to supplement their classes as well.
Right.
How can they do that?
So there's a lot of universities that use our software. They have different departments. With their enterprise, they can work with different teams for different parts of their university, or if they have many different universities over the country, they can also use that in a way. That's I think one of the strong points of an enterprise software, that you have that collaboration that you can do. And then I think what is important to understand is definitely QR codes in an educational space are huge, right? They can be to connect to the Wi-Fi, they can to be able to connect to some announcements and information. It could be that the information is in different languages. If you scan with a multi-rel QR code, so it can bring you to different kind of information. Or it can be that you scan the QR code and in the morning it will give different information, then in the afternoon to a different page, and in the evening to different information. Could be that when people are eating, that they can scan and order, right? Such kind of things like in a cafeteria. So I see so many use cases for universities to use QR codes, not only on campus, but also to do the marketing, right? Every university has a goal to acquire more new students for every new year. So in this way, QR codes can be used on a level that it's actually on the level of marketing, but also in the school, even into the textbooks, to engage people. When they see some information, they can scan and understand how that works, how to solve this thing. What is the logic here behind? You know, when you people now are all the time on their phones, why not make that content that they have engaging with their phone, where they can learn within their textbooks with a smartphone in a good way, right? You cannot avoid people not using a smartphone. So why not bringing it to the next level, where that smartphone becomes part of the educational process?
That's correct. And as we discussed before as well, there are some students who learn with not just text, but also videos. They learn from that better. Right. So professors out there, you can actually supplement your classes by using these video QR codes. So then your students can actually learn at their own time, at their own pace, by you supplementing your classes with these other materials, and not just your like old textbooks. I mean, it can be boring for some, so it's really important to have this multi-channel approach with learning, and really inspiring you students to learn even more and catch up on your class.
Yes, I do believe textbooks are important, definitely to study, but QR codes can be complementary, and that I think is the richness that it can bring if people study. Yeah.
All right. And thank you, Ben, for answering all our questions. I hope that our marketing and ad agencies and big corporations out there were able to learn something from us on how to apply QR codes on such a grand scale. And of course, we will be leaving you all these guides on the description down below. And if you need help setting up on our enterprise account, you may reach us at it@qrtiger.com. It's also in the description down below. And again, this is Crystal and Ben. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in until the very end. Stay curious, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye!